Come stai?
Bene, tu come stai?
Tutto a posto, tutto bene, dai, ci lavoro.
I first met Claudio Sebastiani during the trials for the murder of Meredith Kircher. Claudio has worked for years in the Perugia office of ANSA, the Italian National Newswire Service. We met up in the city's Piazza Grimana, where on one side there's a basketball court and on the other side Perugia's University for Foreign Students.
Ti ho portato qui perché qui è cominciato tutto.
I brought you here because this is where it all started. We are just outside the center of Perugia. This is where Rudy Guede, the only person who received a definitive conviction in the case, used to play basketball. He is now out of prison, having served his sentence for Meredith murder. Here, we are also just a few meters away from the apartment where the murder was
La casa
committed.
del delitto.
Andiamo a vederla?
Andiamo a vedere.
We walk down a few steps from the piazza, where the valley opens up before us, a vast territory that fills the view. To the right is the Sant'Antonio parking lot. Further down is Via di Sant'Antonio, which follows the perimeter of the valley. And right off the road, on a slope towards the valley, we see it. The small house on Via Pergola.
La casa non è più della proprietaria che era all'epoca.
The house is no longer owned by the same person it was at the time. It's changed a lot.
The view is really splendid.
The view is splendid, yes. I mean, this farmhouse.
Was this little shed there before?
No, it wasn't there. We can see that the structure of the house has been fixed up compared to before, and these annexes outside weren't there.
Però ecco, gli annessi questi fuori non c'erano.
We observed the house from the wall surrounding the Sant'Antonio parking lot. This is where the first journalists began to gather after the news of the crime broke.
Inizialmente pochi eravamo noi delle redazioni
At first,
locali.
there were only a few of us from the local newsrooms. By evening, everyone had arrived. First correspondents from the top national newspapers, and then, once word got out that the victim was an English student, all the UK newspapers arrived, along with the world's leading media, from CNN to national television networks to the British tabloids. They were all here.
Inglesi, insomma, erano tutti quanti qua.
For years, Claudio followed the entire story firsthand. In the first few days after the crime, he was fixed here in the same place, observing the movements of the police and investigating magistrates. At a certain point, he would enter the apartment.
Entrammo legalmente quando la casa...
We entered legally once the apartment was released from police sequester, though we could only enter without cameras or anything else. I don't think I'll ever forget that moment, because it's obvious that having followed the case from the very beginning, you had reconstructed the images in your mind, the photographs of the body, which you had seen from the police file. I remember a cold feeling, even if it wasn't a particularly cold day. But when we went in, there was a real chill. At moments like that, the human reaction takes over from that of the reporter. That was the room where a girl had been killed.
Quello era la stanza dove una ragazza era stata uccisa.
Murder in Perugia, an exclusive 7-part podcast series by investigative journalist Antonio Giovane. Episode 3. Exit Patrick, Enter Rudy.
Oh my God. I'm from Alien Earth. You must be called human people. Oh mama.
The boy claiming to be an alien. In a delusional YouTube video posted 9 months before Meredith's death, is named Rudy Herman Guede. He is 21 years old and has spent much of his life, up until that point, in a kind of rootless existence. He lives in Perugia at Via del Canarino 26, a side street of Via Garibaldi. He arrived in Italy at the age of 5 from his native Ivory Coast to join his father Roger, a bricklayer, who soon turned out to be unreliable, failing to take care of or provide for his son. At 17, in 2004, he was entrusted to the family of Paolo Caporali, an entrepreneur from Perugia and owner of a local basketball team, Nuova Perugia, where Rudy plays. He's good at basketball. He enrolls at hotel management school for a year, then works in pubs and pizzerias. He has a best friend, Giacomo Benedetti, but his life is that of a drifter. He doesn't want to study, and his relationship with his foster family breaks down. Rudy moves to the northern Italian city of Pavia to stay with an aunt, and finds work as a bartender. He loses his job and returns to Perugia. On October 27, 2007, he's arrested for theft and receiving stolen goods after being found in possession of a computer stolen from a lawyer's office. Rudy claims to have bought it at a flea market in Perugia. He's also charged with illegal possession of weapons because he had a knife in his backpack. He will maintain that the knife wasn't his. Even though the police had announced the arrest of the 3 people responsible for Meredith Kircher's death, Amanda, Raffaele and Patrick Lumumba, the search was far from over.
In quella stanza c'erano tante
In that room, there were all kinds of traces of blood and footprints, signs of shoes, feet, of hands. So, let's say, beyond the conflicting versions given in the first hours by the alleged protagonists of the story, there is the work of the forensic police that is well underway and that would turn out to be crucial later in the trials. It would become the key, at least once the case got to court.
di questo caso giudiziario, quantomeno.
The forensic police, says Elsa Vinci, correspondent for the Italian newspaper La Repubblica, were decisive. On Meredith's pillow, investigators found a palm print. It belonged to that same young Ivory Coast native whose identity had been on file from his application for a residency permit on June 16, 2005, and who had been arrested for theft on October 27, 2007.
Si cerca subito un quarto uomo.
A fourth man was being sought from the beginning, even if Lumumba was still a suspect. Most newspapers weren't reporting that there was this hunt for the fourth man, because there was more than one person present in the apartment, excluding Laura and Filomena, the other 2 roommates who lived in Via della Pergola. Eventually, we got to the day when an arrest warrant was issued.
Viene spiccato un mandato di cattura.
Rudy Guede, the vampire, as he defined himself in his Delirious video, is not found.
I'm a vampire. I'm Dracula. I'm just suck your blood. I'm
During Rudy's days as a fugitive, Amanda is in Capanne prison, just outside Perugia. She has a cell for 2 that she doesn't have to share with anyone, and she's keeping a diary, 78 pages, in which she talks about everything. She writes that the prison staff is really nice, but I can't say the same about the police. She says that a guard, seeing her crying, hugged her. She tells of helpful conversations with Don Saulo, the chaplain of the women's section, to whom she promises that she will stop smoking marijuana. She writes, "This is not life. I'm waiting to live." Writes that prison is boring as hell. She also talks about Meredith, describes her as beautiful, intelligent, funny, says she's heartbroken. And then she writes about her obsession with the Beatles, in particular with one song that she says she wants the words tattooed on her arm. She transcribes the text and underlines the beginning, where Paul McCartney imagines his mother whispering, "Let it be." Amanda thanks John Lennon. Even though it's actually a McCartney song, she says she wants to sing, dance, jump, laugh. She misses pizza and other things she has at home. She's most worried about getting her camping gear back, her music and her computer. She reads J.K. Rowling and Italian fairy tales edited by Italo Calvino. She tries to keep fit during her free time. On the 12th day, she says she has received 35 fan letters, most of them from inmates. Someone tells her they fell in love with her the first moment they saw her. Another proposes marriage. They call her the girl with the angel face. She comments about the irresistible attraction of a pretty face, and I'm not even that beautiful. She transcribes another song, this one by Eric Clapton. An inmate has arrived in her cell. She's been convicted of murder. Amanda doesn't like her very much. She always asks her to get her clothes, and has clearly been influenced by television versions of her, writes the American student. Amanda writes that she can't stand singer Avril Lavigne and transcribes 2 more songs by the English singer Dido. Then Amanda imagines what her American friends will do once she sees them again. DJ, for example, will hold her tight while she cries and then will kiss her. Andrew, Brett and Madison will hug her. In prison, she says, she saw a film, Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Transcribes the plot with a scene of the sailors distracted by the voices of bewitching women sent by Eris, goddess of discord. Amanda makes a list of her values: friendship, compassion, intelligence, ambition, the things she likes, adventure, creativity. She writes that she's finally moved to another cell and is now with 3 inmates who aren't interested in knowing what she's done or not done. And this cheers Amanda up. The girl from Seattle learns swear words in Italian, writes them down in her diary. She says she's gained weight, going from 132 to 145 pounds since she's been in Italy. I have to stop eating cookies. She racks her brains over everything that comes out about the investigation. On the last page, dated November 29, 2007, she transcribes a playlist of songs. It features Michael Bublé, Alicia Keys, and the Foo Fighters, but also from Italian singers Tiziano Ferro, Francesco Renga, Irene Grandi, and Elisa. But her diary also contains several unpleasant incidents. Amanda reports the aggressive behavior of a man who scrutinizes her from top to bottom, asks her if she has erotic dreams, and if she's good at sex. He tries to hug her, but tells her there's evidence against her, the knife, first and foremost. But she concludes, there's no way they can prove I was there. And then she talks about a meeting with a doctor who called her to explain the results of a test. He told her she was HIV positive. He added not to worry, because it might be a mistake, a false positive. Amanda recounts feeling herself sinking into despair. I don't want to die. I want to get married and have children. I want my time. I want my life. She draws up a list of who might have infected her. 3 men from 7 relationships, including Raffaele, with whom she once had sex without a condom. This possibility distresses her and will prove unfounded. But it will become a source of legal controversy. According to her lawyers, the false HIV risk was used by Italian investigators as psychological pressure to lower Amanda's defenses.
We met at Meredith's house and we started talking and talking. I tried to fool around, but I try in the sense that she was into it too. But in the end we didn't do anything because she didn't have the same intentions as me.
The voice you are hearing is Rudy's, who according to the police is the 4th man involved in the Perugia murder after Raffaele, Amanda and Patrick Lumumba. Immediately after Meredith's death, Rudy left for Germany, and on November 19th, he and his friend Giacomo Benedetti were reconstructing what happened in the house via a Skype call. He told Giacomo that he had met the English girl some time earlier. On October 20th, they met again at the Shamrock pub where the Rugby World Cup final between South Africa and England was being broadcast. On Halloween night, they went to a party together, promising to see each other again the next day. On the evening of November 1st, Rudy says he ate a kebab and went to Via della Pergola. Meredith wasn't there yet. She would arrive around 8:20, 8:30 p.m. When they enter the house and go in her room, Meredith opens her underwear drawer where she keeps her money and realizes it's gone. The money's gone, she complains to Rudy, adding, when Amanda gets back, I'll talk to her. In short, Rudy says, she was accusing her roommate of having stolen her money. But Meredith calms down. She and Rudy go off to a private place and chat. He says they were going to have sex, but it is interrupted because he doesn't have a condom. Then he had a stomachache.
After that, I went to the bathroom and sat down on the toilet. That's when I heard the doorbell. I assumed it was one of the girls that lived with her. It could have been Amanda or someone else. After that, after a while, I was in the bathroom for 5 minutes. After that, I heard screaming. I mean, really loud screaming.
From the bathroom, Rudy hears someone enter. He couldn't tell who it was. It could have been Amanda, or anyone really. After hearing the scream, he runs out. And there, in Meredith's room, which is right next to the bathroom, he sees a terrible scene.
I saw this guy. He had his back turned, and I said, "What the fuck is going on?" I saw Meredith bleeding from the cut in her throat.
Rudy says he sees a young man about 6'1" tall, and he sees Meredith bleeding. He tries to help her, and has a heated exchange with a young man.
We yelled insults at each other. We were both foreigners. Then the guy runs away. He runs away, went out the door. At that point, I tried to help her. I went to the bathroom and took a towel and put it on her wound. Can you see?
The guy runs away. Rudy panics.
I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I don't know why I didn't call the ambulance, because I was the only one there at that moment. I was all covered in blood and I was afraid they would blame me.
Giacomo Benedetti then suggests a strategy to Rudy. Take a train, come to Milan, and talk to Giacomo's uncle, who is a lawyer. If you stay in Germany, he said, the risk is getting into even worse trouble.
If they get you, they'll tear you to pieces. Do you know how to get to Milan?
No, of course, sure.
Well then, go on. Come on, this is what you need to do.
Rudy is hesitant, afraid, lost, crying. But in the end, Giacomo manages to convince him. Rudy goes along with his friend's strategy. But what he doesn't know is that Giacomo's Skype call was not from his home, but from police headquarters. The next day, Perugia's police commissioner, Arturo De Felice, announces the capture of the fourth suspect in the murder.
He was caught on a train connecting to German cities. The police, who had obviously been alerted, identified him and immediately notified us.
The Ivorian was arrested by German police and Interpol on a train to Koblenz. One suspect is swapped for another, but the result is the same. The public has its three culprits. However, the legal paths of the three suspects will quickly diverge. Rudy's lawyers urge him to request a fast-track trial. He's left too many traces at the crime scene. His palm print is on the pillow, his feces are in the toilet, his DNA is on the bra and the cuff of Meredith's sweatshirt. The vaginal swab taken from the English girl also indicates the presence of shedded cells belonging to Rudy, who allegedly attempted physical contact. In short, it would be impossible to deny his presence, and thus his involvement. It would be better to try to obtain a reduction of the sentence by 1/3. Once in Italy, Rudy puts the pieces together. In Capanne prison, on December 7, 2007, he is interrogated by lead magistrate Giuliano Mignini, and he adjusts his version of events. The drawer where Meredith kept the money is no longer the underwear drawer but the desk drawer. And after realizing that the money was missing, he goes to Amanda's room, opens the drawer and says, "Look, Amanda's money isn't even there, that fucking drug addict." Then he adds more details. First, he says he had his iPod headphones in her ears while he was in the bathroom because of his stomachache.
I started putting on my iPod and was listening to music. I heard the doorbell ring because I didn't have the volume up yet, but after that I turned the volume up and did my business. I remember hearing 2.5 songs.
Rudy listens to 2.5 songs at very high volume, including Out of My System at Bow Wow.
Trying to fix the situation that's at hand. You're still running through my mind when I'm knowing that you shouldn't be. Me all on your mind, and I'm knowing that it couldn't be.
He hears the doorbell ring, but in this reconstruction he doesn't mention voices or Amanda's name. He continues listening to music. Then the scream. Rudy quickly leaves the bathroom, and the house is in semi-darkness.
When I came out of the bathroom, the lights were off, and the only room lit was from the lamp in Meredith's room.
Rudy finds Meredith, wounded in the throat, and a stranger, wearing a black Napapich jacket and a white cap with a red stripe on his head. This person stabs him with a knife, and while he leaves, he says a phrase that Rudy had not mentioned in the phone call with Giacomo.
Coming out, I heard these words: "He's black, found a nigger, found a killer, let's go."
A few months later, on March 26, 2008, Rudy's story features a new summary with a few more details. While in the bathroom, Rudy hears the doorbell ring. Meredith goes to open it. and the Ivorian hears a voice. While in his conversation with Giacomo, that voice could have been Amanda, it could have been anyone. Rudy instead states to investigators that he clearly recognizes the student from Seattle. The two girls, he adds, begin arguing over the missing money. Rudy turns up the volume on his headphones until a scream drowns out the music. He exits the bathroom, bumps into the stranger who uses the N-word to say that all is okay. The police will blame the black guy. Rudy sustains that the unknown man was talking to Amanda Knox. The Ivorian suspect says he confirmed it was her while looking out the window of Filomena's room in the apartment. It's a reconstruction of events he would repeat again on May 15, 2008.
While I was going to the bathroom, I heard the doorbell ring. It was clear, since the apartment isn't so big, that someone was outside. Even though they rang the bell, they had their keys inside the door. And Meredith herself, who went to ask who it was, opened the door, and there I recognized the voice of Amanda Knox. And before entering the bathroom and closing the door for good, there was Meredith, who said, "We have to talk." In English, this is what she always said: "We have to talk." And the girl was Amanda Knox, and she told her what was going on.
So while he had told Giacomo that could have been Amanda, that could have been anyone, he now states with certainty, "I recognized Amanda Knox's voice." At the trial, Rudy reiterates his version. The attacker could have been Raffaele Sollecito, even if he can't say for sure, while the girl was Amanda.
I looked outside, I saw the silhouette. Besides having recognized her voice, I saw her silhouette.
But for the judges, too many things don't add up in the Ivorian man's version. Among them, Amanda ringing the doorbell despite having the keys, or the missing iPod. Rudy will claim he sold it for a few euros during his escape. The judges believe he is lying. Furthermore, he himself is the one who places himself at the crime scene, and there are biological traces of him on Meredith's body. In the first instance, Rudy was sentenced to life imprisonment, which was reduced to 30 years due to the sentence reduction. On appeal, the sentence was reduced to 24 years due to the defendant's young age and because he allegedly wasn't the one who wielded the knife, and because he apologized to the Kircher family, even though he did so only for failing to adequately help Meredith. His sentence was reduced to 16, and the conviction would also be upheld by Italy's Supreme Court. But the reasoning behind the initial verdict is sobering, and it doesn't bode well for Amanda and Raffaele. Guede wasn't convicted of committing the murder with his own hands, but of complicity in murder. According to the judges, he couldn't have been alone at the crime scene, and the criminal combat was carried out with the collaboration of several perpetrators. Judge Paolo Micheli convicted Rudy Guede of murder in conjunction with others. And yet, Rudy wouldn't be the only one to say there were multiple people in the house.
I got up, and while I was standing in front of the glass door, the large window that looks out onto the terrace,
which overlooks the house, this house on Via della Pergola?
Yes.
In 2007, Nara Capezzali was 67 years old and lived with her daughter in an apartment on Via del Melo, a few meters from Via della Pergola. The window overlooks the parking lot on Viale Sant'Antonio. Then, beyond the road, there was the house, at a lower level than the street level. It was accessed via a driveway. She told investigators that she went to bed around 9 or 9:30 p.m. Then, about 2 hours later, while she was going to the bathroom,
I heard a scream, a chilling scream that made my skin shiver. That's it.
Was it a long scream or shorter?
No, a scream that, oh God, it didn't last very long. But anyway, a scream that was really clear, a piercing scream, and it really shook me up.
Did your daughter hear it?
No, she sleeps like a log.
Can you associate this scream, this noise you heard, with an animal?
No. It was a woman's voice, a woman's.
Are you able to understand where this scream came from from that small house at Via della Pergola 7?
Yes.
Sì,
After the scream, however, Nara Capezzali also hears something else.
però io ho sentito poi accorrere.
But then I heard someone running up the metal stairs.
Where is this ladder?
It's a staircase a little further from my house.
And did you hear someone running up these metal stairs? Was it just one person or more than one?
No, I only heard one then.
And what about someone else? He was running away from the driveway, so towards the brick layer?
Yes, yes.
Or towards the university for foreigners?
Yes, there's a driveway next to the little house, and then there's a gate, right? Yes. And well, that path. You could hear the sound of running through leaves on the ground and gravel. Because it's not like he was going slowly, right? So as not to be heard. They were running away.
And towards then? Towards Via del Bulagaio?
Yes. Towards Via del Bulagaio, yes.
Sì, verso via del Bulagaio, sì.
The woman says she heard someone running up the metal steps next to the house on Via della Pergola and, almost at the same time, steps across the gravel and dry leaves covering the driveway, someone fleeing in one direction, someone else fleeing in another. So it can't have been just one person involved in the killing. There must have been a concerted effort by multiple perpetrators. But who were they? At the request of Giuliano Mignini, on July 11, 2008, Paolo Miceli, the same preliminary investigations judge who sentenced Rudy Guede, orders Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito to stand trial for murder.
Murder in Perugia is a podcast by Antonio Giovane. The English language edition is a co-production of One Podcast and World Crunch, with editorial supervision by Anna Silvia Zippel and Jeff Israeli. Production support Paolo Prosperini, Giacomo Aloisi, Emma Albright, Erwan Isanchou, and Laurie Gaucher. Post-production and automated voice matching of Antonio Giovane's English narration by Audio.